All right, Dave. Well, great to have you here today. We're exploring data science within the insurance industry. I thought before we get into things, Dave, it'd be great for you to just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what makes you relevant to this space.
Sure. Thanks, Tom. My name is Dave Huber, and I've been in the insurance space for 20 some odd years, and I've been moderating this panel since about the beginning of the year. The panel has had a whole host of discussions around different insurance verticals, and this last theme had to do with this idea of a mortality risk score being introduced into the life and health insurance vertical. I think we have a pretty interesting group of folks who have had some experience with insurance, but there are also others in the group who have either been in consulting roles or data science roles. So we have diverse perspectives and experiences.
On this particular theme, you're talking about mortality risk score for life insurance. What does that mean?
Good question. I had almost serendipitously stumbled over an article that talked about a tech company and a life insurance company who had partnered to develop what they were referring to as an advanced risk assessment algorithm to be able to deliver micro-targeted risk-based pricing by assigning a score to an individual applicant who was making an application for life insurance. Everybody knows sort of what a credit score is. This was the first attempt I've ever seen to put some kind of numerical value on an individual and use that to affect pricing in the life market.
Dave, tell us, what were some of the main findings?
On one side, you could imagine that the score, that insight, would allow for more accurate pricing. And instead of this average pricing model, you would begin to assign different premium to individuals in the group. So from an actuarial perspective, you'd say, that's great. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to assign a price and collect a premium that is specific to that risk. The flip side of that would be, well, there may be things that this AI engine could begin to interpret that could be unfair. There could be issues that individuals don't have any control over. And we certainly did come up with instances where it felt unfair that the 45 scored person was going to be paying double what they were just because of some circumstance. Likely to begin with, not a lot of transparency. Consumers may feel that they have no way of understanding what the score is and how they affect it. There were others that suggested that it would be beneficial because the entire industry potentially becomes more profitable, that if the bottom line is improved significantly, then maybe they don't need to collect as much premium from those high-risk folks as they did on day one. As one of the panelist Robert Rudy suggested, it makes pricing more efficient, more targeted. You're using all sorts of data to predict loss, essentially. And because, as we've seen, particularly in other areas of insurance, those with these tools of data science are more likely to be successful than those without.
He says, I'm sure that the regulation will emerge, especially if the algorithms are shown to factor in race.
So insurance is regulated, and in most instances where external data is used to evaluate a risk or help set rates, those data sources have been regulated. You may have to disclose to the potential applicant that you're going to use that score. You may have to allow that applicant to dispute the score. And in doing so, you'd have to show them pieces of the data that they're using to calculate this mortality risk score. Robert's example was to say, well, here's an obvious one that people wouldn't accept.
Let's go to key point number 2. There's another pro or advantage.
So today, you've got a lot of manual underwriting, and experienced employees of insurance companies are making decisions about pricing. And so just like you're automating any other kind of process, this notion of a premium that's largely determined by a score, this could improve the industry and create a better customer experience. And in the insurance industry, those go directly to the bottom line.
Dave, tell us some of the uncertainties that were discussed in the panel.
If such a score existed, does that also imply that there's a database or a data bureau of all of this personal identifiable information, my personal stuff? And if so, if that data is warehoused, what prevents it from being hacked or even the raw data being sold to a marketer? Do marketers push stuff on me to make me more healthy? There was one comment that, well, if I knew people were in really bad shape, maybe I'm going to keep them there, push more potato chips their way, because as an insurer, it hurts me from a life perspective, but if I'm selling pharmaceuticals, why not just keep that guy with high blood pressure and diabetes? And it's almost like I've got a patient for life. With auto insurance, seemingly you have some control over how you drive. The panel discussion, we spoke about how much control do you really have over what could be a mortality risk index. You, for the most part, can manage your weight, you can manage your exercise, but there are genetic things that you just get. Clearly, those sorts of things should maybe be reflected in how much I pay for my life insurance, but there's this common good part of the conversation that we had that said, well, someone's disadvantaged because of hereditary things. Does that mean that they're really going to be paying 4 times what I'm paying? There was a sense of community almost that said, well, maybe they should pay a little more, but maybe not 4 times more.
The whole point is to offset the ones that end up needing it. If you take this to an extreme that algorithms will one day predict the longevity of each individual, it sort of ruins the whole point of insurance. Now you're no longer insurance, you're just pre-purchasing your claim, in which case you may as well have a savings account.
Exactly. When you talk about micro-targeting, sort of insurance for one, then you're exactly right. It might as well be a savings account.
Okay, well, I look forward to talking with you in the next couple of weeks. But for today, thank you very much for your time, Dave. Some great insights here.